Have you ever stopped to think about figures in history? I mean, people so impactful, so important that they were actually promised this huge reward while they were still alive.
Yeah, it's a fascinating idea.
Not just, fame or anything earthly, but something deeper, a spiritual promise, really, eternal happiness.
Exactly.
And that's what we're diving into today. This specific concept from Islamic tradition. We're going to try and unpack the Ashra Mubashra, which translates as the 10 promised paradise. We want to look at what made these individuals so special, why they received this, incredible news, and also touch on the different historical viewpoints around it based on the sources we've got.
That's right. And these Ashra Mubashra, they are 10 really highly respected companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Okay.
They were the ones who actually heard during their own lifetimes that they were destined for Jannah, for paradise. And this wasn't just arbitrary. It was because of their, absolute faith and the huge sacrifices they made, especially in the early days, for Islam to be established. Their stories are still, a huge source of inspiration for Muslims everywhere. Loyalty, courage.
Pillars of the faith, as you said. May Allah be pleased with them all.
Exactly. R.A. May Allah be pleased with him, is how they're often referred to.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit more. Who exactly are we talking about? These 10 individuals, the names that come up consistently in the sources are, first, Abu Bakr, or Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
The first caliph.
Then Umar Farouk, Umar ibn al-Khattab.
The second caliph.
Uthman ibn Affan.
Third caliph.
Ali ibn Abi Talib.
The fourth.
Yeah.
The Rashidun, the rightly guided caliphs.
Right, the first 4. Then the list continues with Talha ibn Ubaidullah,
Yes.
Zubair ibn al-Awwam, sometimes written as Zubair ibn Awam, Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah, or Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah.
A key commander.
Abdurrahman ibn Auf, also Abdurrahman ibn Auf.
The generous businessman.
Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, or Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas.
The archer. Yeah.
And finally, Sa'id ibn Zayd, Sayyid ibn Zayd.
That's the 10. And like you said, these weren't just sort of average companions. They were the ones who, as the sources put it, really stood firmly alongside the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, through every challenge.
Through thick and thin, basically.
Pretty much.
Yes.
And they dedicated their all for the advancement of Islam. It was total commitment. That's really central to understanding their status.
That makes sense. So that brings us to, the heart of it. We have the names, but what made them stand out? What were the specific actions, the qualities that earned this incredible promise?
Right. It's fascinating because each one brought something unique. Let's start with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq.
Okay.
His defining trait, the reason he got the title as Siddiq, or the truthful, was this just unwavering faith and loyalty. He didn't hesitate. First adult man to accept Islam.
That's significant.
Hugely. And then, crucially, he stepped up immediately after the Prophet's death as the first caliph. A really uncertain time. He provided stability.
And he was wealthy, too, wasn't he?
Yes, a successful businessman. And the sources say he gave all of it, his entire fortune, for the benefit of the Muslims. He migrated with the Prophet, fought in key battles like Badr and Uhud, just total dedication. He's even buried right next to the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So unparalleled loyalty and commitment. What about Umar ibn al-Khattab? He sounds like a very different personality.
Oh, very different. If Abu Bakr was quiet strength and loyalty, Umar was known for his boldness, his strength, even sternness as a ruler. He wasn't initially a Muslim, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he was skeptical at first. But once he converted, he became this incredibly strong protector of the faith. His conversion was a turning point. Before him, Muslims often prayed in secret, fearing persecution in Mecca.
Right.
After Umar embraced Islam, his sheer presence and bravery meant they started praying openly right there at the Kaaba. That's how respected, maybe even feared, his strength was.
That's a powerful image.
It is. And when he migrated to Medina, he didn't sneak away. He apparently announced it publicly, in broad daylight, basically daring anyone to try and stop him.
Incredible confidence.
Absolutely. And as the second caliph, chosen the day Abu Bakr died, he wasn't just strong, he was also an innovator. Introduced new government departments, reforms, a real state builder. He's also buried beside the Prophet.
So his strength really gave the community a new public boldness. Okay, next on the list is Uthman ibn Affan. What was his story?
Uthman is remembered especially for his humility and immense generosity. He became the third caliph. A unique thing about him, he actually married 2 of the Prophet's daughters over time, Ruqayya and then Kulthum. May Allah be pleased with them.
Oh, wow.
He was an early convert, too, brought to Islam by Abu Bakr. And his generosity, like Abu Bakr's but maybe expressed differently, was key. He funded major initiatives, The most famous, perhaps, is his financing and overseeing the compilation of the Holy Quran into a single standard version.
That's a monumental contribution.
Absolutely essential for the unity of the text.
Yeah.
And there's a story that really shows his character, Ali, the fourth caliph, needed money for his wedding expenses and sold his shield to Uthman.
Okay.
Uthman then gifted the shield back to Ali as a wedding present. It just shows the kind of person he was, the relationships they had.
That's a lovely story. Really speaks volumes. And then Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Ali, cousin of the Prophet, son-in-law, married to the Prophet's youngest daughter, Fatima. May Allah be pleased with her. He has a special place as the first child to accept Islam, apparently at just 10 years old.
So young.
Known for incredible courage, wisdom, too. His most famous act of bravery early on was probably during the Hijra, the migration, when assassins were planning to kill the Prophet.
Yes.
Ali slept in the Prophet's bed as a decoy, risking his own life so the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, could slip away safely to Medina.
That's astonishing bravery.
It really is. And later, as a warrior, he was renowned. Conquered the formidable Khyber fort. He eventually became the fourth caliph. Tragically, he was assassinated while leading the dawn prayer in Kufa. His shrine is in Najaf, Iraq.
Such a significant figure from childhood right through. Okay, who's next?
Next is Talha ibn Ubaidullah. He's known again for valor, for generosity. He was one of the first 8 people to embrace Islam, also convinced by Abu Bakr.
So part of that very early core group.
Exactly. And he really proved his loyalty in battle. The sources highlight how he stood firm, protecting the Prophet, especially during the Battle of Uhud, which was a really difficult moment for the Muslims. He fought in many key battles.
A steadfast protector then.
Very much so. He died later in the Battle of a Camel from an arrow wound. His tomb is in Basra, Iraq.
Okay. And Zubair ibn al-Awwam.
Zubair, another cousin of the Prophet and also one of the very first converts, maybe among the first 5, like Talha, known for fearlessness, for battlefield bravery.
Seems like courage is a recurring theme.
Definitely. Zubair was apparently quite distinct on the battlefield, often wearing a yellow turban. He fought in all the major early battles, Badr, Uhud, the Trench, Khyber, a really respected warrior. He also died during the Battle of the Camel, attacked while praying.
Tragic ends for some of these figures amidst later conflicts. Okay, moving to Abdurrahman ibn Auf. What set him apart?
Abdurrahman ibn Auf stands out as another incredibly wealthy companion, a very successful businessman. But the key thing is how he used that wealth.
Like Abu Bakr.
Similar in generosity, yes. He channeled his fortune into supporting the community, funding its needs. It shows another dimension of contribution, beyond, say, purely military or political leadership. He embraced Islam early, after talking with Abu Bakr.
Yeah.
He fought in battles like Badr and Uhud, but he was also highly influential in administration, especially under the first 2 caliphs. He advised Abu Bakr, and Umar appointed him to the Shura, the crucial committee that chose the next caliph. So, wealth, piety, and political acumen. He died in Medina and is buried in the famous Jana al-Baqi cemetery.
It's interesting how diverse their key contributions were. What about Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas?
Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. He was known as a brilliant archer and a military commander. He was also very young when he converted, about 17, and was the 7th person overall to accept Islam. Very pious man.
An archer, okay.
Yes, and a highly effective one. He played a massive role in the early Islamic conquests, helping to open up new regions to Islam. He was also key in founding the city of Kufa in Iraq, which became a major center.
So a strategic military leader and a city planner, in a way.
You could say that. Umar appointed him governor of Kufa and Najaf. There are even traditions linking him to preaching Islam as far as China, though that's maybe less historically certain. He lived a long life, dying at 80.
Quite a legacy. Okay, nearly there. Sa'id ibn Zayd.
Sa'id ibn Zayd, another one of the very early converts. He's primarily remembered for his deep righteousness, his devotion to the faith. He was a steadfast supporter of the early leadership, involved in the discussions around Uthman's election as caliph.
So more known for piety and support.
Primarily, yes, and loyalty. He did serve as a governor of Kufa for a time under Muawiyah later on. He died in Kufa, but his body was brought back to Medina for burial.
Okay. And the final one on the list, Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah.
Abu Ubaidah, a really trusted leader, military commander too. What seems to define him is his profound humility and loyalty. He earned the very special title Amin al-Ummah, meaning the custodian or trustee of the Muslim community.
Custodian of the Ummah. Wow, that's high praise.
It absolutely is. It speaks to how much trust the Prophet and the community placed in him. He converted extremely early, just a day after Abu Bakr, fought in all the major campaigns, remained a close supporter of Abu Bakr during his caliphate.
And under Umar?
Under Umar, his role grew even more. Umar actually appointed him as the supreme commander of the Muslim armies fighting in the north, in Syria. He led crucial battles like Yarmouk. He died during a plague in Syria around 639 CE.
It's quite a list. Each one sounds like they made monumental contributions in their own way. Faith, courage, wealth, leadership, piety. But this whole concept, the 10 Promised Paradise, it feels like more than just biography, right? What's the deeper significance in Islamic history? It seems there are layers here.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a simple historical list. The concept itself, Ashra Mubashra, the 10 given glad tidings, is really deeply embedded in Sunni Islam. It signifies this ultimate divine approval given during their lifetimes.
Okay.
But interestingly, the term and the specific list of 10 solidified a bit later, mainly in Sunni literature from the 9th century onwards. It wasn't necessarily formulated exactly like this from day one.
So the idea developed over time.
The formal concept and the standardized list seem to have, yes. And what's really fascinating is that the list itself wasn't always identical in the very earliest references we have.
Oh, how so?
Well, the earliest version we know of, from an inscription dating back to the Umayyad period, around 724-743 CE, it actually includes Muawiyah, the first Umayyad caliph, as the 10th person.
Muawiyah. Instead of who?
Instead of one of the names in the later standard list. This early inclusion was likely, well, politically or religiously motivated an effort by the Umayyads to elevate Muawiyah, portraying him as being among this elite group of early companions.
That's a significant difference. So how did the list we discussed become the standard one?
By the 9th century, when major Sunni hadith collections were being compiled by scholars like Ahmad ibn Hanbal, al-Tirmidhi, and others, the list had largely settled. They usually list either the Prophet Muhammad himself as the 10th.
The Prophet himself?
Yes, in some versions. Or, more commonly, they list Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah as the 10th, which aligns with the list we went through.
I see. Are there other names that sometimes appear?
The core 8 are almost always consistent. The 4 Rashidun caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and the other 4 members of the Shura committee that elected Uthman, Talha Zubayr, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sa'id ibn Zayd is pretty consistently the 9th. Sometimes sources mention Abdullah ibn Masud, who was a very close companion, known for his knowledge of the Quran, as potentially being reckoned among them, though he's not usually on the standard 10 list.
Okay, so there's some fluidity early on, but it solidifies. What was the purpose of this list becoming so important in Sunni tradition?
It served several key functions, especially as Sunni identity was forming in distinction to other groups, particularly Shi'ism. Firstly, it strongly supported the legitimacy of the first 4 caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, presenting them all as divinely endorsed figures promised paradise. This countered Shi'i views which questioned the legitimacy of the first 3.
Right, that makes sense from a theological standpoint.
Secondly, and this is quite profound, think about the first fitna, the early civil wars. Major figures on this list, like Uthman, Ali, Talha, and Zubair, were tragically involved in conflict against each other.
Yes, we noted some died in those conflicts.
Exactly. This hadith, this promise of paradise to all of them, offered a way for the Sunni tradition to, in a sense, absolve these revered figures from the sins of that civil war.
Yeah.
If the Prophet himself had guaranteed them paradise beforehand, it implied their actions, however tragic, didn't negate their ultimate standing. It fostered a narrative of respecting all these companions despite the conflicts.
That's a really powerful theological implication for navigating a difficult past.
It absolutely was. And as a result, emulating these 10 companions became a cornerstone of Sunni piety. By the 12th, 13th centuries, there was even a whole genre of literature dedicated just to extolling their virtues, the manaqib.
So a very central concept for Sunni Islam. But you mentioned Shi'ism. How is this viewed from a Shi'i perspective? It sounds like it would be quite different.
It's starkly different, yes. Generally, early Shi'i scholars rejected the authenticity of the hadiths, reporting this specific list of 10.
Why is that?
It ties back to the core issue of succession after the Prophet. From a Shi'i viewpoint, the first 3 caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, are seen as having wrongfully taken the leadership that rightfully belonged to Ali.
Okay.
So a list that includes these 3, and especially one that includes all 6 members of the Shura committee that chose Uthman over Ali, well, that list is inherently problematic from a Shi'i theological standpoint.
Because it validates the figures they see as usurpers, essentially.
The presence of that specific group reinforces the rejection, and our sources even mention a specific Shi'i hadith, found in a text called Kitab Sulaim ibn Qais. Now, we have to be clear, we're reporting what the sources say.
Of course, presenting the viewpoint.
In this hadith, Ali himself supposedly states that the other 9 companions named on this particular list would end up in the lowest levels of hell.
Wow, that's a very strong counter-narrative.
It is. And again, it's crucial to understand this within the context of the deep historical and theological disagreements about leadership, legitimacy, and the status of various companions that have shaped the different branches of Islam. It highlights how the same figures can be viewed in radically different ways.
This whole deep dive, it really gives you a fascinating window, doesn't it? Not just into who these foundational figures were, but into the sheer complexity of religious history. Understanding this list isn't just about names, it's about grasping these different interpretations, the historical context, and the massive influence these individuals still have.
Exactly. It prompts you to think about how traditions select, remember, and elevate certain figures, and the idea of prophecy, of divine promises made within history. It carries immense weight, but also, as we've seen, can be interpreted in very diverse ways.
So maybe the thought to leave our listeners with is this. When you look at historical figures who were promised something so extraordinary, like paradise itself, what does that tell us about the values, the sacrifices, the leadership, the faith that a society or a faith community holds up as being worthy of the ultimate reward, especially when, even then, there were disagreements about who truly embodied those values? It's something to reflect on.